Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So I did get a request in the previous video that I made about this game, my card game, Omnipotent, asking me to sort of showcase some of the cards and that sort of thing, maybe even tell you a little bit more about it. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. So right off the bat, if you like this video, go ahead and actually give me a thumbs up, a like, you know, that sort of thing. Also, don't forget to subscribe, you know, share, all those wonderful things. But with that out of the way, let's get right into this. So this is my latest card game. If you may or may not be aware of, there's probably going to be a little card up here in the corner somewhere that's going to take you to my previous video. But anyway, I wanted to showcase some of the cards. In particular, I wanted to showcase some of my favorite cards and sort of tell you different ways that you could possibly use them. So let's go ahead and start with Adaptations. So I really love this card because the HV card with this power can hold one additional power card, and so also it can hold any type of power card once you give it to this. So for example, if I gave it to my Nameless card, which is another one of my favorites, whoops, he can now hold three cards, which technically he can only hold two because it still counts as one. Also, he can hold any type of power card, so now I can give him magic type cards and stuff like that, as well as projectile and all sorts of different stuff, and it just really boosts your card's potential very well. So in the packs that I bought, I was only able to get like 2 or 3 of them, but there is actually 7 of them. There's Armageddon Totem number 2, 1, all the way to 7, you know, and they all have different types of effects. For example, this one, this card cannot be played if you control an environment card. If a card attacks, draw 1 card. So if a card next to this one attacks, you get to draw 1 card. So that's a very helpful card if you want to get some extra cards from your deck. There's only ever going to be about 25 to 30 cards in your deck, though, so it's probably not going to be too helpful in helping you draw cards. But once you really learn what the Armageddon Totems do, you're going to absolutely love this card, because the Armageddon Totems are another one of my favorites. They're some of my favorite environment cards. And show some of these other ones, like I got Scared Little Thing. You kind of saw him in the last video too. Let's see. Yeah, Super Mo, you saw him already in the last video. Whoop. I used my camera. So there's also Omni Bunny. I really like Omni Bunny too because the story behind it is a little interesting. Back in the original draft, there was infinite strength and infinite defense for HV cards, and I decided to get rid of it because it kind of made it a little bit too powerful. So I ended up capping it off at like 10 to 12 strength max for cards. It also originally had infinite speed, but I sort of got rid of that for a short time, and then I added it back before I released the game. So there's a lot of stuff that I kept changing about this card. So this card's ability is not affected by environment cards. Also, it's a genius. And he's got lots of different types, so he's going to be able to hold a lot of different type of powers. He's also really strong, too. There's Whip. It's a very simplistic card. It's basically just a whip. So this card is going to help you draw cards, too. So if this card is used to attack or defend, draw 1 card plus another if your card does not win that battle. It does not exactly have the best speed in the world. It's got 3 speed, but it's really good if you want to draw some extra cards. Little Hero Big Hat. See, I was actually going to do like a little bunny theme for a while, and also desert theme sort of. So yeah, and this one, it kind of didn't turn out as the art when I originally drew it didn't turn out as good as I wanted it to, but it still turned out pretty good. Let me move him a little bit closer. So if this card dodges, it can counter with a power card it already has, and in the last video I kind of taught you about countering, where he can counter now with a card in my hand. But this card in particular allows you to counter with a card it already has. Also, that power card is not sent to the discard pile after you use it to counter. It's got, you know, sort of average speed over here at 3, so it's a pretty good card too if you want to make sure if you have something that's going to help you dodge better. This card can be really helpful in some dodge decks that let you counter some more. So let's see some other cards. I got Magic Cluster. So when this card would lose an attack, you can send one of its powers to the discard pile instead. So if he has For example, he can only hold 1 power, so let's say he had Fireball, for example. So if my opponent is attacking him and he's going to lose that battle, I can just send Fireball to the discard pile instead, and I'll be totally alright. He gets to stay on the field, so that can be very helpful to keep some more HV cards on your field. So it takes a little bit more than you would think to get rid of him. So we also got Super Strength. I keep hitting my camera, I'm sorry. So we also got Super Strength, which the HV card with this power has its speed depleted by 2, so it does have a little bit of a drawback. But this card can be used with another power when you attack. So normally when you attack, you choose one of your powers to attack with. So for example, if I gave it to Omni Bunny, I give that to him. Normally I would only be able to attack with just that one card. But if he had 2 cards, wait, he can't have 2 either. So, well, if somehow he had 2 cards, I would only ever normally be able to attack with just 1 card. So, for example, if I only want to attack, I can attack with this. But Super Strength allows you to attack with 2 cards instead of 1 at the same time. So now I can attack with Fireball and Super Strength, and that's an extra, 8 and 4 combined with this, and just unleash a bunch of damage. So that card can be very useful if you want to just go all out and just deal a lot of damage. There's also Reptilian. I really like this card because it just came together quite nice. This card's attacks cannot be dodged. So no matter what I'm attacking with, even if it's with well, it can't be a projectile type, but if somehow my speed is depleted by 2, for example, that Super Strength, if I give him Super Strength, the speed isn't really going to matter for him very much. So there's also Big Eye Bluebird. Some of you may recognize him from Redbubble, actually, so you can actually get that on a shirt or a sticker or something if you wanted to. So this card has Flight. If it dodges an attack, you may force your opponent to an attack with an HV or environment card you control with the card. This dodged. So if this card dodges a card, my opponent, I can make my opponent attack one of my other HV or environment cards if it dodges it. So that card is really good in some flying decks. So if you have some flying decks, that would be pretty good in there. We also got Pawn. He's one of the strongest cards in the game currently. So he's a genius, and I think I've talked about this card before. But yeah, he's pretty powerful. He's got 10 strength and 10 defense. He can only hold 1 power card, but he's pretty good. He's got infinite speed, so he's always going to be able to dodge. So yeah, it's just a pretty good card. I really like how the art is. This is actually a really old piece of art that I just had on my tablet that I decided to put onto a card. But yeah, also I got Claws. I did talk about that card a little bit too, so let me kind of go through some other cards. Let's see what we got. I got Tree. I talked about it a little bit too, but there's Tree. I don't know if I talked about Advantage Boost, but Advantage Boost, it's this really cool little card here. So its ability is, if this is used to attack a card with a type advantage, or if it's used to defend against a card with a type advantage, your card wins the battle and this card gains 2 strength. So if a card has a type advantage, I've talked about that before. This is sort of a quick little reminder of it. Elemental, it has a type advantage over Magic. Magic has a type advantage over Tech, and so on and so on and so on. So if this card is attacked by, for example, this has Magic and Trait. So if this card is attacked by, so if I use Advantage Boost to attack Elemental, since Elemental has an advantage against this card, I get an extra 2 strength from this card. Also, I automatically win that battle. So that's just sort of how he works. It's pretty good. I like how he turned out. I think that, I got Omnivision too. This card is actually really powerful if you got a handful of cards, because its strength depends on how many HV cards you have. So and as many as your opponent has. So if there's like 6 HV cards on the field, then I'm going to have 6 strength and 6 defense for this card. Also, it makes it impossible for trait types to attack it. So any card with a trait type is not going to be able to attack Omnivision or the card with it. I don't think I need that anymore. This card, I really love Powerful Copier because it allows you to choose any power card in the battle area, and this card gets the same power, strength, and defense and speed as that card that you chose. So you can choose something like Omnivision, and that's going to be super helpful because now your card gets that same strength. There's also invisibility that makes the card with it invisible. I talked about a little bit about invisible, so you have to flip a coin and get heads in order to attack a card that's invisible. So that card can help you stay in the game longer as well. Teleportation. This card's very, very powerful because if it's used to defend, the battle ends immediately, and neither card is damaged or defeated. So the HV card with this power can also be moved to a new space near a card they control up to once per turn. And just kind of help them out. So we also got, here's another Armageddon Totem. This is Armageddon Totem number 4. So all cards have Genius, but cannot attack environment cards. So this is also another card that's going to help you keep your environment cards and also help you get more Armageddon Totems on the field, in the battle area. I mean, Big Smarties, pretty goofy looking card. He can grow or shrink if you get rid of a power card he has, so it can be very helpful to get him to a bunch of strength. So there's no limit to how many power cards you can play a turn. So if you have a hand of like 6 power cards in your hand or something, and all of them can be given to him, you can just give it to him, get rid of it and grow him, get rid of it and grow him, and just keep playing power cards on him. So just keeping growing him and growing him and growing him. And when you think you're done, you can just give him 1 power card to hold, and it's just a bunch of strength and defense from this guy. So it can be very powerful if you use it just right. And speed isn't the best, but that's usually how it is for giant or tiny cards. So here's Force Field. I really, really love this one. This is one of my favorites. It just came out beautiful. So this card, the card with this power cannot dodge attacks. So it does have a little bit of a drawback. It does have some good defense though. So when your opponent begins their turn, you can choose any power card in the battle area, and that card cannot be used during this turn. So if my opponent has this Omni Vision card on their battle area or whatever, then it's not going to really matter too much, because once they begin their turn, I can use this effect and choose Omni Vision. Now they can't use it for anything. So now its effect is basically useless. They also can't attack with it because they have to use it in order to do so. And so this card can stop one of your opponent's power cards once per turn, but only during that turn. So once it's your turn again, that card comes back into effect and it gets that strength again. So yeah. And another whip, a wizard. So this card is actually kind of really useful if you have a magic or a projectile type deck, because first off, it's a genius, so you don't ever have to worry about giving him a power card. At the same time, you can discard a card and make all the power cards in your hand magic and projectile type. So let's see what else we got. Orb of Energy. I just want to go ahead and talk about this one too. So when this card is used as a counter, this power cannot be dodged. This power can't be sent to the discard pile by an opponent's card effect either. It's also got some good speed there as a projectile, some some good strength and pretty weak defense. But it's just overall, I think, a good card, especially if you want to use it as a counter, because your opponent's never going to be able to dodge it. So let's go to Telekinesis. Allows you to move 1 environment or HV card per turn. The HV card with this power cannot be attacked by projectile type cards either. So I can move an environment card if I don't want it next to a card anymore, or if it's no longer next to a card, I can be like, I want to move that over there, so it affects this card now. So that can be really helpful in environment type decks. Another Omni Bunny, Power Shot. I really love this one because this effect basically makes it to where after attacking your card with this power, you can choose 1 power card to send to the discard pile unless the attack is dodged. Yeah, so if I attack a card with this and that card had a power, so if he had a power, let's say he had powerful Copier or something, if I attack him now, even if Telly Bot is defeated now, I can choose any power card to send to the discard pile, and that helps you get rid of your opponent's power cards, especially if they have really good ones like Omni Vision. So that's good. Telly Bot destroys any environment card it attacks, so that it can be really useful for those cards, those environment cards with infinite strength. You just attack it once and their environment's gone no matter what. It does have some pretty weak speed though. Another powerful Copier, Cave. So that's just I'm pretty much done talking about these cards. So these are some of the more cards that you can get in this game. Also, there is plenty more that you're probably about to see in this sort of quick, maybe not quick montage. So enjoy that, and also do not forget to like, subscribe, share, do all those wonderful things, and comment if you want to see any more of this. Also, this game, Omnipotent, is in the description below in a link where you can get this game, as well as my book, and some merchandise and all sorts of goodies for you in the description below, and all sorts of links. So go ahead and go to that when you're done with this video.